In 1944, a young American soldier fell in love just days before leaving for war. His name was Thomas Carter. He was only 21 years old. Before the war, he was just an ordinary boy from a small town in America. He had simple dreams, a quiet life, and a future he thought he had time to live. But World War II changed everything. Europe was in flames. Cities were being destroyed. Thousands of young men were being sent across the ocean, not knowing if they would ever come back. Thomas was one of them. Then, just before he was deployed, he met her. Her name was Elizabeth. He saw her near a small train station cafe on a quiet afternoon. She was standing alone, holding a book. As the wind moved softly through her hair, Thomas didn't know why, but the moment he saw her, something inside him changed. He walked up to her and started a conversation. It was simply awkward, maybe, but real. And somehow, that one conversation turned into something much bigger. Over the next few days, they spent every moment they could together. They walked through quiet streets, sat on old benches, shared coffee and stories, laughed like the world outside didn't exist. And in just a few short days, they fell in love. But time was not on their side. Soon, Thomas received his orders. He was leaving for Europe. The morning he left, the train station was filled with soldiers, families, tears, and silence. Elizabeth stood in front of him, trying to be strong. Thomas held her hands tightly and looked into her eyes. Then he said the one thing she would remember forever. "Wait for me." After a short pause, he whispered, "I'll come back." Then the train doors closed. And just like that, he was gone. Across the ocean, Thomas entered a world that looked nothing like home. There was mud everywhere, broken buildings, endless fear, gunfire in the distance, and the constant feeling that tomorrow might never come. But even in the middle of war, he kept writing to her, sometimes under candlelight, sometimes in cold shelters, sometimes with tired hands after long nights filled with fear. His letters became his way of holding on. He wrote about how much he missed her smile, her voice, the quiet little town they had walked through together. He wrote about home. He wrote about hope. He wrote about the future he still dreamed of. And every single letter ended the same way. "Wait for me." Back in America, Elizabeth waited. Every day, she listened for the sound of footsteps near the door. Every letter that arrived became the most important thing in her world. She kept all of them, folded carefully, protected like treasure, read so many times she could almost hear his voice in every word. The letters kept her going. They reminded her that somewhere far away, Thomas was still alive and still thinking of her. But then, one day, the letters stopped. At first, she told herself it was just a delay. Maybe the mail was late. Maybe his unit had moved. Maybe he was still writing, and the letters just hadn't arrived yet. But days turned into weeks, and the silence grew heavier. Then one afternoon, a final envelope arrived. It had Thomas's name on it. His handwriting. Elizabeth's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was one last letter. It had been written the night before battle. In it, Thomas wrote, "If this letter reaches you, then maybe fate had other plans for me. There are so many things I wanted to say, but the most important is this. Meeting you made this world feel worth fighting for, and if I never return, just know, you were my home." Thomas Carter never made it back, but his love did. In every letter, in every memory, in every word he left behind. And sometimes, even in the middle of war, love becomes the only thing that survives. Because some people never truly come home, but they never really leave either.